Alright, here we go. I haven't done a speak-over tour of one of my sketchbooks for a long while, so I thought I'd try it with this one. I'm very new at this, so please forgive the ums and ahs and stumbles and all the rest of it, but I hope you enjoy having a look through this with me. Alright, so this dusty book is a Stillman and Byrne Alpha series in the 8x10 size. And I filled it between September 21 and February 22nd. So let's just make sure that's in film there. There we go. Alright. I don't always decorate the outside of my books, but usually it's either a sticker or some washi tape or something. So this one's a bit boring, really. Alright. Let's get into it. I always pop a guardian spirit or guardian angel or a motivating person in the front of my sketchbooks, and I got that idea from a fellow called Austin Kleon, who does the same with his visual journals. This lady is Iris Apfel. She's in her late 90s, I think, but she has the most fabulous colourful style, so I wanted to play with colour in this particular sketchbook, so she was my inspiration. Painted a rainbow behind her and did a whole bunch of patterns, and patterns is going to be another theme throughout this particular book. I always pop my name and details in it in case I lose it, and the start and finish dates. Colour is my day-long obsession, joy and torment. Good old Claude Monet. Yeah, so here's a pattern piece. It's just watercolours again, bits and pieces left on my palette. Yeah, okay. Always test out my palette on the paper of a new book. So that's what was in the palette. They're mostly all Daniel Smith watercolours that I've squeezed out into half pans. I'm playing with mixes to get greens, and granulating mixes with Potter's Pink is one of my favourite things to do. And then we kick into it. Lockdown and drawing cats and all the rest of it. The cats are still relatively new, and I'm finding it very difficult to capture well without them looking cartoony or strange, so I practice with those a little bit. And then I started my virtual travels in Venice, drawing the facades and trying to practicing getting the proportions and dimensions and everything right. More patterns. Start out with a grid drawn in pencil, work my way in with the same sort of strength wash every time over the top, and it's very, very soothing, super soothing. The only thing that causes pain is that by the time you get to the middle, when you've got 15 or 20 odd layers, it takes ages to dry, but it's fun, it's very relaxing. This is another virtual travel piece taken from a photo that I took when visited France in 2011. It was pretty much 10 years to the day, almost, since I stayed in this little house outside of a watermill. Beautiful, I wish I was there again. Beechworth, that's the post office. That's where my father's family live. Sort of trying to find the balance between a really tight sketch and some looseness with how I drew the balustrades and what have you, just little squiggly bits. Getting there, I'm sort of finding the balance between doing something fast and doing something slow and deliberate, sort of practicing for when I can get back out and do some urban sketching again. This particular version of the virtual travel, I decided I was going to look at opera houses around the world, and I was really drawn to the spacey modern sort of designs. Sydney, of course, because that's just up the road from where we are. Copenhagen and Oslo. Very big and imposing buildings, but very spare in their architecture. And lay that against Paris, where it's so ornate and fabulous and all these gold bits everywhere. Yeah, I had fun with this page. When I was a kid, my grandpa used to sing to himself and whistle and all the rest of it. And one of the ones that he used to sing was, "What's that you say? I've got beans in my ears." And it came to me, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. And so I had to draw the picture that also came into my head when I sing the song. So Heinz beans, of course, and a little fellow with bright red hair to match the orangey red beans. More travel to Amsterdam and more patterns. Checkerboard, this time with a single colour, just varying strengths of wash across the squares. Okay, this is one of the first pieces that I've done where I went straight in with ink. I didn't do any pencil lines at all. Working from a photo, of course, because I didn't travel to an Indian market in the middle of the pandemic. But yeah, I really loved the colour in this one, the lady's sari and the way she's sitting and all the rest of it. It's just really, really pretty. And the red onions and potatoes, and I think these were chilies or something, and some greenish bananas. Just fun. I enjoyed that one. This was a fail page. I really want to get better at drawing faces quickly, deliberately, and so I thought, oh, James Bond, why not? He's kind of handsome to look at for a while, except that I kind of mutilated him. This one looks like Hitler. This one looks like his accountant. This one looks like Al Jolson. So yeah, that was a bit of a fail. Keep practicing faces. Okay, this is a processing kind of page. It took me several days, and it was a particular point in the pandemic and what have you, where I wasn't coping very well. So drawing all these little organic Zentangly doodle sorts of things lets me sit and relax and think, gets my hand moving and what have you. And then I thought, yeah, it's sort of, I was feeling like I was going into a black hole. So I layered the paint and got gradually darker as I went into the middle, and then popped some song lyrics around the outside, which of course Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb. Yeah, it brings back a lot of memories, but it's also one of my favourite pages to look at. I really, really like that particular Zentangle design. One of the rare times I popped out to the shops, I sat in the car. I always take my sketchbook and stuff with me when I go out of the house, but I don't always get time to sit. So yeah, before I went in and got what I needed at the corner shop, I did a quick sketch. More patterns, this time using lines rather than watercolour. And a little bit of virtual travel to Singapore. I sort of messed up the perspective on this one. We've got this side of the shop houses going down when they should be sort of angling up this way a little bit. So I really need to slow down, take more notice of where things are going in terms of the perspective before I start committing to ink. But live and learn, and that's why we have sketchbooks. Garage gym, I'm very fortunate to have some stuff in the gym to keep active while the pandemic and what have you is going on. So I like to draw plan view type pictures from time to time. So this time it was the garage gym. This, another pattern. Of course, I penciled in the circles and then just filled them in. I think I did most of this one while I was in a work meeting on the phone. This one's a classic. My offsider at work is from Macedonia, and I figured I'd have a look at some of the funny buildings in her part of the world, and found this. I was expecting to find old buildings with columns and all the rest of it, but this one came up. It's called the Macedonium, and it's a monument remembering some manner of gathering. And it amused me wildly because it looks like the coronavirus, and it also looks like a sea mine. So I just had to draw it. It was really challenging to draw, actually, to get the angles of the various portals looking out of the central bit. Cats. Always cats. Always comic representations of our two cats and patterns. I remember doing this sort of pattern when I was in primary school. Get these big pieces of paper and we'd draw shapes in the middle and just trace around and do lumps and bumps around the shapes. So that was fun. Around about this time, the US and the UK pulled out of Afghanistan, and the women copped it as they do. So I wanted to commemorate some of the women's national dress that they wear at home mostly. They can't wear them in public anymore because they're having to wear their covers because of the regime there. So thinking about their situation. This one was fun. I couldn't think of what to draw, so I asked my husband what I should draw, and he comes up with some really wild ideas from sometimes. And he said to draw a Mars bar with a bite out of it. So I did. I'm really pleased with it looks kind of 3D. I'm happy with that. So, and the motto, or the whatever it is, the jingle for Mars bar, of course, was work, rest and play. And that resonated because I need to learn how to rest better. The quote here from a lady called Erica Lane is, "Rest is not idle, it is not wasteful. Sometimes rest is the most productive thing you can do for body and soul." So it's like a reminder to self while I was drawing that one. More virtual travel, this time was to Chartres in France. I visited this cathedral and walked on the labyrinth that's on the floor in there. Very beautiful place. Okay, this is 2 versions of the same building in Venezia. This one took me 20 minutes. I didn't do any pencil on that one. I just went in super sketchy, blocked in the dark bits with an inky brush pen and gave it a couple of washes. This one took me 90 minutes and I was far more careful and did the pencil shapes and what have you to start with. But I think I like this one better. It's got a bit more life to it, even though it's wonky. Sitting outside during lunch, enjoying the spring, sketching my backyard, very small backyard. And I have, this is my guardian angel dolly, Daisy doll. And she's a little 12-inch doll with a really big head and lots of hair, and she reminds me to play. I have her sitting on my desk. Another bit of virtual travel, playing with having silhouettes to give the composition a little bit of interest. Started looking at quilts as inspiration for some of the patterns that I do. That was fun. 3 colours, 3 different strengths of washes. This one was another on-location sketch. I was travelling down to a different part of town, and the gyms were all very empty at the time because of the COVID situation, so I parked in the car park and had a nice view of the whole facade of the building. So it was nice to get out and draw on location. Now, this is a new concept that I started playing with. I'm calling it slice and dice poetry. And what I do is take a page of song lyrics and I chop them up into their words or their phrases, and I make an entirely different poem out of them. So I'm doing those a bit more these days to play with merging my writing and my art sort of thing and popping them on a watercolour wash. This is one of my favourite watercolours. It's Moonglow by Daniel Smith. Then I launched into some virtual travel to some of the castles around the UK. This one's in Mow Cop, which is I think up north somewhere. Then I tripped over to Norway, drew a fishing village. These little bright red buildings amused me, and the whole scene looked really, really peaceful. I enjoyed that one too. It's funny, you're sort of drawing and getting into it and looking at it, you sort of imagine yourself sitting there in person, even if you can't be there, and imagine what it might feel like and what you might hear. Hear the water bubbling or the wind in the trees, or there were probably birds around because it's a fishing village. They're going to be wanting to eat whatever you bring in and throw over the side. It's good fun. Quick trip to Hong Kong for this one. Little street scene with all the colourful wares. I think this was food and drink and what have you, and various shops. But I really like the flags and the strings of lights up the top there. A bit of a mind map just to see how I was feeling about COVID. Another castle one in Dorset down in the south of England. And a little bit of Buddhism to zen out with. As we cultivate peace and happiness in ourselves, we also nourish peace and happiness in those we love. So make sure you've got yourself sorted out. You're going to be a better place to help those around you. This one is very poignant at the moment as I record this. Russia has invaded Kiev and they're doing vast amounts of damage and killing a whole lot of people. I drew this building because it was a very, very differently shaped one, but yeah, it feels a bit weird looking at it now, I have to say. Another one where I did two versions of the same scene, straight in with pen, more careful with pencil line drawing. I like both of those. I'd be happy with either of those in my sketchbook if I was out on the scene doing it. Another Macedonian scene. This is my work offsider's favourite church. Looks over a huge lake and pretty mountains and what have you. It's lovely. This was just a random lady that does not have hair that looks like this, but her pink jacket made me think that she might like a colourful hairdo, and I think she rocks it. The quote that I put with this one is by an unknown author. It says, "I choose to be unstoppable. I am bigger than my concerns and worries. The strength of others inspires me daily. I focus on my goal. I trust in truth and live a courageous life." So that's a reminder too. Another on location one while I was waiting for my hair appointment. Patterns. Playing with curved lines versus straight lines. They have very different feels to the vibes that they give off. I think I like the curved lines better. A bit more joyful. This feels more rigid and angsty sort of almost. I don't know. I'd like to be under the sea. Not really happy with the way he turned out. I might try that one again sometime, but yeah, I needed something a bit sparse to offset the very heavy pages preceding. Then I had a birthday and I got some lovely flowers, and my son's got me the fabulous clover leaf palette. It's really fun. These wells are nice and deep, and these are, you can do nice little quick mixes in these ones, but you can build up quite a good wash in those wells, which is great. Benalla, that's where we were supposed to be going to visit for Christmas, but that was cancelled, of course, because there were lockdowns and COVID and stuff there. So I was in preparation, but then I was disappointed. Oh well. And presents. I chose this one as my word for 2022 in terms of what I want to focus on moving forward through the year. So this was a meditation piece, I suppose. Lots and lots of patterns and lines. Didn't have to think a whole lot about the drawing itself, so it let me sort of mull over what it might mean to be present in life and how that could make me into a better person this year. Relaxing for the holidays. Since we weren't travelling, I was on the couch watching telly quite a bit. We watched a lot of Star Trek, which we like watching. So this is my husband's guitar. These are my guitars. Sound system, telly, all the rest of it. And through that door is my garage gym. So that was the plan view we saw a little earlier. Another one of my husband's suggestions. Ice cream sundae. This is really fun, getting the look of the glass and what have you, as well as the texture and feel of the various elements. It was challenging but good fun, and it made me hungry. And another play with Austin Kleon's concepts is the lifted type sort of stuff. So this is a collage using magazines, and then I overlaid it on a watercolour quilt pattern that I painted up. This was a collage using the bits and pieces that came with my new pen holder. I've got quite a collection of fountain pens that I use, and I wanted to have them accessible and not sort of tucked away in pencil boxes. So I drew the bits and pieces that came with it. It comes from Istanbul, and they always send all these cool things. Oh, excuse me. Little towelettes and tea bags and stuff from their part of the world. Alright, so this page, using the colours that I put in my cloverleaf palette, Those are the pure colours along the diagonal there, and then mixing them to get the mixes. And I mixed them on the page rather than mixing them on the palette itself, so that I could see the granulation and the variations in the colours, which is really fun. I really enjoy the potter's pink ones because it sort of granulates, and then playing with some of these ones got quite interesting and surprising results. I like it. This is a mixed media collage, and believe it or not, the background with the droplet thingies is the wrapper off our toilet paper. We order from a charity-based organisation, and I like to reuse their bits and pieces and recycle the paper, and they're really, really good for doing collage. So yeah, pop that down, magazine picture, another magazine picture, and then some acrylic paint and markers over the top. And it's a quote by Anne Lamott. It says, "Hope begins in the dark, the stubborn hope that if you just show up and try to do the right thing, the dawn will come. You will wait and watch and work. You don't give up." It's a good reminder, because sometimes in the current circumstance with COVID and all the rest of it, it feels kind of hopeless at times, but we just need to keep plodding along, do the right thing in our sphere, and yeah, we'll get there in the end. Trying to draw my husband and my cat. I failed big time. Straight in with pen on this one, pencil outline on this one. They all look like aliens, so more practice required. Spiral. This was inspired by Linda Barry's work. Another Austin Kleon style lifted type collage. This is the inside of a security envelope, and the patterns inside. Those are really fabulous. Virtual trip to Sydney. This is Cadman's Cottage. It's the second oldest surviving residential building in Sydney. It's cool. I like the yellow door. It's fabulous. Almost the last page. Here's a Canada Goose. And I wanted to put in Mary Oliver's Wild Geese poem. It's one of my favourite poems. The first verse I'll read. I won't read the rest because it's kind of long. But here it goes. You do not have to be good. You don't have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Love it. One of my favourite poems ever. But it had to have a goose to go with it, so he was fun. He looked like he was having a good run around in the grass. Another lifted type poem on top of a pattern. I didn't plan it that way. I did the pattern, and then I thought, oh, they look like suns. I need to put some words on top of that. So that's what happened there. This is a meditative pattern that Wendy Mack talked about on her podcast. Start in the middle and just go work your way out. And it's just, yeah, you get lost in the patterns, and it's wonderful. I love it. Patterns have been really, really good for mindful practice for me in the last few months, and especially throughout this particular sketchbook. You've seen lots of patterns all the way through. And then we have the last page. These are my eyeballs looking at you. And I'm learning at the moment to do hatching and cross-hatching. This one was using a biro, a big ballpoint pen. I've been watching France. Oh, what's her surname? Wagonized is her channel. She does a lot of this kind of stuff, both with pen on paper and with her iPad. So yeah, I did that, and then I wrote a little bit about how much I enjoyed this size. My previous sketchbooks were the 5x7, I think, about that big sort of thing. So working on a bigger page, this time I've really enjoyed being able to spread out and do things and play a bit more and slot paint around. So I'm using this size again for my next sketchbook. At the back, wrote down the names of the paint to go with the swatches in the front. And I always have either a little flap or an envelope in the back, and I keep grid templates and what have you in there for when I need to do lines quickly without measuring and all that sort of stuff. So that's the end of that one. I hope you enjoyed looking through that with me, and thank you for putting up with my amateurish voiceover attempts. I will keep doing them and try and get better over time. Yeah, so tell me what you think. Do you like this style of video? Tell me in the comments down below. Hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends if you like. Thanks for following. Have a good day. Bye.